Oh, the 20th and the... Thanks. That's how numbers work?
Really? You're so linear.
Exactly what we want to be talking about. Nonlinear processes.
And I've listened to a bunch of them, and I keep thinking, like, I have a favorite library parking spot, too. I should go talk to her.
That's awesome. That's so great. All right. Well, welcome to In the Act, a radio program on process and the creative life. Creativity does not just start and stop with artists. We all make aesthetic or guiding decisions. Our aim is to talk through the process and investigate how we choose to express ourselves and to live creatively. We're connecting with people about their lives. That's the subject of our show. Broadcasting from Mead Public Library in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, I am Erica Hunsinger, and this is In the Act. And today's guest was former teacher for, I don't know how long you taught for.
26
years? Oh, my gosh. Co-founder, owner of Two Fish Gallery, artist, mentor, friend, mother, wife, grandmother. I got that. I got grandmother in there. Because I love that. I love that. I want to talk about it. Karen Robison, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. It's a whole new part of the library that I haven't been in yet. So.
Right. Yeah, the descent.
I know. I'm in the lower library, below the books. I can feel them up there, though. Yeah.
I love that.
I know. It's good here.
I think so, too. Yeah. I mean, libraries are so important. I mean, obviously, you spent 26 years teaching and learning and cycle practice and all of that. So
one of the coolest things about Etude and being right like 3 blocks away was this was our school library.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So we didn't have to have one room with some books in it or just computers. We came here.
Oh, that's so amazing. Yeah, because it's just a nice little walk then. You get a walk in. Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about what you taught?
I can. Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
No, I probably, that's a bad verbal tick. But everyone will come up to me and say, well, where did you teach art? And I'll go, nowhere ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I taught science. I'm a botanist, and at South High, where I first taught, taught biology. Well, you teach everything. Like it's sort of like when you're a beginning teacher, the new one's like, here, look, here's 6 preps that you can do because you're new. Ah.
Right.
But it's kind of fun because you have to learn about everything and be up on things, and it really gets you in the rhythm of, I get to learn new stuff and talk to new stuff with people.
Right.
And then as I kind of built a program of botany, built up the botany program, I ended up being full-time botany, which was way fun.
Wow.
And it reminded me of theater because, 7 shows a day. And you could switch it up a little bit each time depending upon who was in the class. That was way fun.
Oh, that's so cool. I never thought of it like theater in that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Full seats. Full house.
Right. Full house. Yeah.
And then with Etude, I taught advanced sciences. So chemistry, my favorite was ecology and art from the Getty out west. So we took a college class and made it a high school class. And invertebrate zoology.
Wow.
The best, most fun ever. Human anat and phys. Regular biology based on the river, which you could see out the window from my classroom.
Oh, that's right.
It was the most wonderful time.
Wow. Oh, my gosh. Why? What was the spark for botany for you? Like, where does it begin for you invested and interested in the natural world?
I grew up way out in the country. Like the bus ride every day was an hour and a half, which is where you get really good at sheephead. But
where you get good at what?
Sheephead, because the card game.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had an hour and a half there and an hour and a half back. You got to do something.
Right.
I couldn't read because then I'd throw up, so I played cards with the boys. It was also a very fun time. And living way out there wasn't that much to do. Like the nearest neighbor was over a mile. They didn't have any kids. but there was 3 maple woods. Like everything was arranged by the glacial topography. So you had a lot of variety of what plants and animals were where.
Oh.
And then there were fields on either side, too. So we were there. We weren't going anywhere, so you got immersed in what was around you.
Oh, how beautiful.
It got me very good at dealing with plants and animals, not so good at dealing with people after living, way out.
Sure.
Then moving to the big city of Sheboygan.
Sure.
I had some, oh, look. Yipes.
Yeah.
So
was it Wisconsin-based where you grew up?
Oh, yeah. It was just north of Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
I went to school in Manitowoc. So
gotcha.
I didn't get real far.
Yeah.
And then I always had plants when I moved here in middle school and high school, it was junior high then, I always had plants and named them, and they had particular personalities, and, I killed most of them as I learned to take care of them.
Sure.
And then I went to school and learned a lot about native plants and local ecology, and loved that.
Wow.
So it was weird. It was back in the 70s, so I could take – they didn't have ecology yet. It sort of hadn't been invented or was just getting invented.
Yeah.
And so you took conservation and you took wildlife management and kind of a view on the natural world that was more about preserving it so we could get more out of it later, kind of a capitalist version of taking care of everything.
Yeah.
But it still had the taking care of everything part.
Right.
And
what is the definition of ecology then? What would you...
Ecology is bigger.
Okay.
It's more looking at the interactions in everything, from the dirt and the rocks to the animals to the water to the air, everything, including people. You know, whereas conservation was a little narrower, but still good.
Yeah.
And they had field stations, but girls weren't allowed to go because, only men apparently. So, but I got to go on one. I made a pain in the neck of myself and got to go up to Rice Lake and do bog water studies to see what other things were living in the bogs and how that would be good for cranberry growing. And
beautiful.
It was beautiful and so remote.
Yeah.
And completely different than here.
Yeah.
And you start looking at Wisconsin and go, you don't have to go very far to be somewhere completely different.
Yes.
That is so cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
And is that because of the glacier?
A lot of
it, because a lot of the rocks aren't native to this area. They're pushed in through glaciers from above, and
it starts with what's underneath us all, the rocks and things, and the history of the rocks here. There was a big depression pushed down I can't remember, syncline or anticline, but so that as you get to Green Bay and north, there's different rocks and soil chemistry and different plant population because we're also on the tension line, it's called, between 2 major biomes.
Oh.
Not all states have that. Wisconsin does.
Cool.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. What is that? That's so cool. I'm bouncing in the chair. Sorry.
Here we are in the Kettle Moraine.
Yeah.
We have a mixture of evergreens and deciduous plants, and they vary depending upon the soil and the moisture and the little pockets and protected places that we have that just coddle these wonderful plants. And then as you get a little farther north, it's harder on the deciduous plants. There's more evergreen plants. We have the huge towering white pines and hemlocks, and you go to these places that make you just look up and be totally amazed.
Yeah.
You can't see very far because it's so dense. And here you can see, you get up on top of a moraine and you can see for miles.
Right.
So very different. And very different chemistry, too, depending upon pH of things.
Yeah.
Acidity or alcohol. I am kind of a boring scientist. I could go on about
Oh, my gosh, I love it.
Forever.
It's not boring at all. It's a rich, fertile, amazing mind that you have. I want to kind of touch back. The field towers, is that what you said? The field experiments?
Field stations.
Field stations.
So the universities would have cabins and little places more up north than all around the state.
Okay.
But in some other places, it's like the Sand Counties. If you've heard of Aldo Leopold from Madison,
yes.
Milwaukee had places up at Rice Lake and farther north, and they would be doing research to look at, what else in the ecology of the place, all of the other plants and animals in water supported, like in this case, it was cranberry, because cranberry was the industry that was building up and becoming more than just a niche.
Right.
But looking at what existed and how long it had been there, and some of the animals that were starting to disappear, like pine martens, these great big weasels.
Oh.
We put these collars around their necks, and they had radio waves to see how far they had to travel, how far they went.
Wow.
And you'd look, we'd look for a lot of dead deer. Then you'd crack open their ribs and see how their bone marrow was to tell how healthy they were.
Wow.
Now we have computers. We don't have to get quite so slimy. You can check into things easier. But back in the day, no, it was really a transforming experience to be in these different places and focused for weeks on just like what's in the water.
Right.
In this particular bog.
Oh my gosh, that observation, that concentrated time of observation is just amazing, because in seconds things are magic. They're just, yeah.
And it takes you a while to, like, you look at it the first time and go, oh, there's some water and there's some stuff in it. And after a couple of weeks, you know what the stuff is, and you can tell if it, oh my gosh, there's lots of these guys. That means there's good health in the water.
Right.
Uh-oh, look at that guy. Danger.
Right.
So,
yeah, but getting to know the droplets of water even is is amazing to have that like range of study
and that intensity. I think that's what's so hard about teaching science. It's because you have a class like biology, definition of which is all living things. Like, really, how are you going to teach that with any way that matters?
Right.
So.
Yeah.
You need those deep dives.
You totally do. And I'm sorry, but I have this little headworm. I'm sure that's not what it's called, but
let me look.
Thank you. I am a biologist. But that you had to fight your way to be able to say that you would to go because you're a female. I don't understand I guess, it's not that far away that women had to really pave their own path like that and stand up for yourself. How did you do that? What made you feel like you could stand up for yourself? Because I think those transitions and those like standing up for selves are really important for creative development and expression of self and like the trajectory of what can happen for your life. Sorry, that was a little.
No, I get it, and you gave me some thinking time, and I appreciate that.
Okay,
you need that too. And it's like I don't want to tell like bad stories. Back in the day we walked up, but
no,
I started out in theater. I started out in the professional theater training program.
Oh,
and bad things happened there with some of the physicality of rehearsals and things, and after a while I got to the like I just don't want to deal with all of this kind of stuff with the social and people grabbing you, and I really do not have the personality for that. I have the personality for look in the drop of water. Right. And I thought, okay, I really love botany, I really love conservation. I'm going to shift. I'll switch.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do sciences. And it was just as cutthroat because of the way the system was set up, which I don't think they do anymore.
Right. No, I don't think so.
They had classes which were meant to weed you out. And so as you got up higher into the field, there were less and less people, and mostly men in science.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much, we hate you, we won't let you go. It was more like, what? You want to go? What?
Right.
We only have one dorm. We can't. There's not a bathroom, and you're kind of like, no, I'm okay with that, and I will.
Right.
I'll bring a curtain and I'll curtain off my bunk, and everyone will be fine, and we can do this.
Totally.
And it was.
Yes.
But it made people uncomfortable, and it started people to go, well, of course we should do this, but no one ever asked. I guess no one ever asked before.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's like, there's a really good book out there that says be sure and ask, because it talks about before you just read the note that says you can't do something, you should probably ask, like, why or what could I do to modify this or mitigate this or,
yes.
And for me, it was a little bit of, I've just changed my major like twice and I'm sick. I'm not starting over somewhere else. I want to do this.
Yeah.
And I proved I can, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I really love that. And I'm a big proponent of follow the things that you love and follow that passion. And ask. What was the other thing that kind of stuck with me is you said it was uncomfortable, that it made them uncomfortable. And I think change does that. That disequilibrium, whether it's change for the good or change that's bad, it still is a shifting of the sand underneath your feet that you're not used to. So it may not be right that it's like that there's any malintent involved necessarily. However, things need to change and grow. And thank you for being a pioneer in that.
A little bit. My little contribution.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I stay in it. Keep trying. And we're in such a time of change now, which
yes.
I always see change as opportunity to right after World War II, there was this huge upheaval and all this change. And a lot of countries did change their social systems and did change.
Yes.
And we didn't. And then we have this upheaval. And people always say, we want to go back to the way it was. And I'm like, I understand where that feeling is, but here's an opportunity to pick through that pile of the way it was.
Right.
And grab the stars, and some of it's not stars.
Yeah.
So.
But it is sort of like looking at that, the dropper of water and really looking very closely, examining and observing and finding what pieces of the past work and operate for our society and what things are just parasitic.
We always did them because we always did them because we always did them is not a good reason for doing things. And I get that change is uncomfortable. I guess I like change.
Yes.
And I talk to friends who are like, oh, too much change. And I get that too. Too much at one time. It's hard for you to – it's like a science experiment. If you change all the variables at once, you don't know what made the result. You have to change one thing at a time and go, oh, yeah, or oh, no. But so a big turmoil of change, I think, throws you in that I don't know what caused this, so
right.
Chaos.
Absolutely.
So
that's such a great point. I love that analogy.
Science.
Yeah. Welcome back to In the Act. I'm Erica Hunsinger. We're here with Karen Robison. Really, the analogies of science and social construct and the weaving of the two in between and using science as an analogy for self and society, and this is all really interesting stuff.
Well, I also have a granddaughter who just requested real wings for Christmas.
Awesome.
It's awesome, but it's going to be hard to deliver on.
What does that mean?
She wants to really fly.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have, beautiful, like, monarch wings she can wear, and we have a lovely time playing and running. But yesterday, she said she wanted real wings. And I get it.
Oh, my gosh, totally.
But I also feel like, we've definitely hit a spot where I don't have the skills, but I have to think of ways to imaginarily really fly.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And I think that's where, like, those creative things step in, and you get to make these choices and decisions, and thinking about her, and her age is 5?
6.
6. Okay.
No teeth. The no teeth year. No front teeth. Lovely lisp. but I do enjoy.
So sweet. So sweet. But I mean, golly, I mean, right? You brought up like the time right now. I think, geez, I think everybody wants some wings to be able to feel less heavy.
Oh, that's true. That feeling when you sometimes the day's not going well, or you accidentally listen to the news, and you feel like this weight just rolls through my body. Like, okay, I need to get outside, or I need to get to my studio bench, or I need to talk to someone new, or
yeah.
You know.
Is that what gives you that? That's I think that's a dumb commercial, but is that what gives you wings?
Well, I'm kind of a chicken, so I don't. Well, chickens do fly. Bad analogy. I kind of would be afraid to fly. I like to wander.
Yeah.
I'm learning not to say hike because that just sounds too strenuous. But, like wander out into the woods and observe things and take pictures and draw things and collect things.
Yeah.
So that's good for me. I take a lot of little walks and arrange things on my studio table and in my plants and do those things. And I spend a lot of time with old elders and youngers, all different ages. I've been able to get back to school a bit lately, and there's nothing more fun than 17-year-olds.
Teaching again?
No, I'm helping out, just doing odds and ends, but getting to have a little student contact. So
yeah,
it's very fun.
Tell us about it.
Tad, a colleague of mine, and I there's a gallery at our school, and we've kind of taken it over. We're team emeritus.
Excellent.
So we just go in and do whatever we want because who can fire us? We don't work there. And we put up some student artwork and alumni artwork and artist in residence artwork and a little bit about the founders of the school, and then drag the students there to talk about the work and talk about what they want to do, because so much of project-based learning is coming up with how you're going to make something. Doesn't, whether it's a physical thing or not, the process going from what's all in your head and sounds wonderful to I have this thing that will solve a problem because I made it. That's a big transition.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
So,
I mean, that's like the ultimate helping someone walk through creative practice in whatever form. And I think sometimes people think of creativity that it's solidly only within the visual arts. It sits within, like, drawing is maybe visual art because it's also kind of doodling, or it's practice for painting, and it's painting and sculpture only, and that there's it's a box, and if you don't create within those little spaces, then everything else isn't creative. I think a lot of people
made these rules.
I don't know, but I hear it a lot from people. I hear it. That's why I want to debunk it and talk through it.
That, or people that just say, "Oh, I'm not creative."
Yes.
I'm like, well, of course you are. You have a brain, and I don't mean that in a rude way. But if you have a human brain, you're creative because, hello, even just figuring out how to get through all of the things we do, the way we build our spaces that we live in.
Absolutely.
It's all part of that way of thinking, and it gets kind of back to the change in the rules. Like if you just live by this is what I do because it says and we've always done, then you are not giving yourself a chance to, think creatively, look at things, observe things, analyze, and then decide, that's the path I'm taking.
Right.
But there's some weird block, especially with students whose imaginations are still not trounced on too much.
Yeah.
So you got this wild imagination, you got these ideas, all the things you want to make. This would help the world. This is something I'd love to have. All of their dreams and ideas, and then they try to make their hands do it, and it doesn't work the first time.
Yes.
And that's like a really important time because everything can end then.
Yes.
And we can't let it.
Talk to us about how you have found ways to extend that process so it doesn't end.
Huge, huge question. I believe that you have to keep making things all along the way. Not not make it a linear. We almost said this earlier. We said linear process. That's like, okay, you see a problem, you come up with an idea, you decide what you're going to make, you make it, and you're done.
Oh my gosh!
But
right?
to like all along the way start making it.
Yeah.
Oh man, that didn't work. But that makes me think about this other thing, and to keep going. There's a marvelous library book here about that.
What is it?
It's a kid's book, and now I'm going to try and. Before we're done, I will think of the name. The Most Magnificent Thing.
Oh.
And I won't remember the author.
That's okay.
But it's a young girl who's like, I want to make this thing. And it didn't turn out. And she has a fit like a little kid and cries and pounds her fists and gets
Or
mad
like
at people and kicks it. And eventually she makes a whole bunch of things and then goes back over the line of them on the sidewalk where they're lying and says, well, that part's good. The color's good on that one. The texture's good. The the fasteners are good on that one. So I can make the most magnificent thing by making another one that has the parts of all of these.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I believe. And even in our house, we have a collection of like artwork when we try a new body of work and it really isn't that good to start with. But you still save that piece.
Yes.
Because it was the fulcrum. It was the transition piece.
The fulcrum. Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of go, okay, I learned from that. And then but that idea of, people talk about failure, like it's really important to fail. Well, it isn't the failing that it's important. It's you had to try something to see what was happening. You can't look it up in a book all up in, or on the line, probably not online, not in a book.
Right.
And determine what is the exact perfect way to do this right now.
Right.
So I don't know. I think building in lots and lots of doing and making so that you can have a series of little not failures, but not perfects.
Yes.
And then
not perfects.
Oh, I know what to do next time, and I'm going to do it next time.
Yes.
And sometimes the thing I didn't like about teaching, which almost got me out of teaching a lot earlier, was you had one shot at it, and then you got an A, a B, a C, or a D, or an F, and then you never, ever did that again. Because you were teaching these little nuggets of good stuff. And I loved school, and, I'm not bashing school, but wanting to set it up so you did something similar a second time so that and then you were responsible for more parts of it.
Yeah.
You had to pick out the materials maybe.
Right.
So everything wasn't always, you look at those science lab and it tells you what the materials are and it tells you the steps and pretty much tells you what the end result is.
Yeah.
There's no discovery and there's no variation.
Right.
You can't turn to the kid next to you and say, oh, that's different than what I did. Tell me what you did.
Right.
So that was kind of my goal in science education, is to not have everybody doing the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Because then they could experience more things and learn from each other and not get into that, it's everything's a beginning, a middle, and end, and then you're done and you go on to something completely new.
Right. And incorporated into that is that observation of other, right? And the discussion, like the questioning and the discussion and the reflection and then the reintegration, like that whole other reflective piece that, golly, if you can hold that up and support it, like it's golden.
Man, it's golden. And you'll notice nowhere in anything you said did it say like judgment or grading.
Right. Yeah.
Really?
Because how do you... I get that there has to be some vantage point of learning, or I don't even know how to call it. I don't really know what to say about it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, you can see people who catch on to things and start to develop their own ideas and help other people develop ideas, or I think I believe I did this for a living, so I know that there are ways to do it, but it's also an awkward, kind of, for a while we had the grade of not yet.
Oh, really? That's so great. I love that.
I don't know if I should say that out loud, like public, but yeah, we had the grade of not yet because it was, this part is good, this part is good,
encouraging.
But you gotta do more, so... But it breaks the expected way of I want things to just get back to normal. Just give me enough so I can be done.
Yeah.
And I would always resist that because,
That goes a long way. And I think that seeps into the human being then. Like, I don't, then, hopefully then that goes into, okay, I don't know how to do this. I'm in the big world. I'm not in school anymore, but I don't know how to do this yet. Just putting a yet on something is just a huge lane to be able to see a little bit further into the distance instead of a barricade of like, I can't and I won't and now it's done and I failed.
Yeah.
Right? It really is like, it's like a maze that you're trying to get through for yourself that you're creating, but then you have these roadblocks or walls and
Which we could do that with artists too, that feel like there's a grade, like you have to sell a certain amount or you have to show in a certain place, otherwise you failed at art.
Yes.
It's like, I guess I know where that comes from, but I don't know that we need it to be, it's like if you've had more than one job. And people will pat you on the head and say, well, at least you finally found something that you were able to do. And I'm like, no, you needed to do all the other things to get to this thing that you're doing now.
Yes.
And let's see what the next thing will be.
Right. Because we're dynamic, human changing beings, things that have different needs at different times and not in control of what's going to happen in the outside world to us, for us, with us.
We live in the world. Like science is affected by the world around it. Humans are. And as these things change, we just change too.
Right.
And then we're not gentle with ourselves about, like, I needed to change. That wasn't working. I needed to do this. This is going now. And look at this.
Yeah.
No. I had a friend, I think yesterday it was, who said she was not going to use the word hope anymore.
Oh.
Because it was such a lame verb. It was such, there was no action. That's the way I think of it. But she might not have said that exactly. But she did say, like, hope, you go more for acceptance or for planning or for dealing with rather than just sit in my chair, close my eyes, and hope things get better.
Sure.
Heck no.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about that a lot.
Yeah.
So Pat always teases me. He said if I wrote a self-help book, it would be like one page that said, shut up and get to work, or, kind of. And that's cruel. And I'm not really, I'm a better listener than I used to be. I'm growing. But I do have more of an action, and even if I have a bad day, I'm going to get up and do something or paint something or walk somewhere or do something, make something, as opposed to, I don't know, cry. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't always understand people that need more of the quiet, introspective time. I know it's true.
Yeah.
But we need a whole bunch of other people to help people do that well.
Yeah, we need a whole spectrum of people to express themselves and support the different ways in which we need and grow. But I think that's so important to think about that's the avenue that works for you. And it may not then be right for other people, but it works for you. And to know and tailor those things for yourself are really important.
As we get older and hopefully more people when they're younger figure out a little more about themselves as opposed to who somebody else wants them to be. But that's, like everybody says that's an old thing to say, but it's still in there.
It is. So. And how do you do that? Those are all these questions. Like, how do we do that every day? I mean, as a teacher, that's a primary goal, right?
Mm-hmm. Figure out what you're interested in, what you need to know to be good at what you're interested in, and make a difference in what you are, passionate about as you learn it. And I think part of that is you have to try lots of stuff.
I do too.
Because you don't know what other things are out there yet.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to try all the many things and take classes and read things and listen to things and
try all the different avenues. Try all the different things. Yeah. Try on lots of different coats and hats. And see what fits and the sidewalk of items, right?
Yeah, the sidewalk of items. And find your tribe, which has meant tons to me, so much to me, to find people that could support what you were interested in and doing and working on and you know,
Absolutely.
and that's easier. It's one of the things I thank the internet for, is you can find your tribe, find classes, things that you wouldn't necessarily stumble across in your own neighborhood.
Yeah.
And even people that you can just write to or show them a picture. I'm making this, and what the heck? This won't stick to that. And then
Right.
someone will say, oh, you need to use
Here you go.
certain kind of glue for that.
Right.
Let me help you. So
Yeah.
you have a close community and a wide community and
Yeah.
all of these things.
And I think that's so important because I think so much of our tenet of maybe it's America, maybe it's worldwide, I don't know, but is that sitting into, well, you do it on your own. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You got this on your own. And, you know, this sort of like aggressive, bizarro way of operating that nobody operates in. Nobody does. We all need to have people around that we can feel supported by and support to have that to grow and be, I don't know, lots of things.
Yeah.
Just
Community
leave it
of
there.
just the encouragement you get from people. If, you know, you find the one other person that likes to look at
Right.
bog algae, you'd have this exciting conversation.
Right.
Someone
Yes.
who doesn't look at you like, oh my. So no, it's kind of fun, and it was. Both Patrick and I have been doing new artwork. You know, it's like old dogs, new tricks, but enjoying that so much. And I'm kind of in a phase where if take anything and dip it in encaustic wax, and it will change and become more beautiful. And
Yeah.
I know it's a phase, but right now that works. Yeah, he's got a glass kiln going, and I'm kind of interested in that too.
Yeah.
Though the danger part of it I'm not as good at as he is. So,
Same.
yeah. But make new things, experiment. And there's lots of science in the things we like to do because it's all about, you know, what kind of glass, what temperature, how long, what's the flux. Well, so it's
Totally
also throwing me
embedded.
right back into the mixture of science and art. So
Oh, it's totally Venn diagram.
it's an exciting time.
Yeah.
That's good. So,
Cool. It's totally fine.
I forgot. I know you said it would start recording when I walked in. I went, what did I say when I walked? I've
Right.
been working on my swearing, but I don't think I went there. So.
Yeah, swearing is hard. Oh my gosh. Welcome back to In the Act. I'm Erica Hunsinger. We're here with Karen Robison, and we were talking about swearing, being appropriate, being not appropriate, finding our spaces and finding things that we're interested in. And I love the idea of dipping things in wax, and I love encaustic. So can you tell us what because I want to talk about the place that you created with Patrick, but also like what you're currently working on. So how did Two Fish come about? What?
It was really Patrick's dream. He wanted to have a gallery in a house because he's been in the arts forever, the visual arts.
Okay.
And I dabbled and made stuff, but wasn't really interested in showing other people what I made as much as he always has been. And he wanted things to look like you could have them in your home. Like this is how one of his dry dock boats would look nestled in your living room as opposed to on a white pedestal in a white and glass gallery. And, you know, it was...
Makes the link between home and artwork closer.
Yeah, living with all... And he makes a lot of things that are functional as well as things that are sculptural. And they're all things that you can... You know, he's a clay artist, so they're all things you can touch and handle and, you know, be with.
Yes.
So he wanted to do that, always wanted to. We both had major transitions in our lives and got together at that time and got a bungalow in Elkhart Lake, and the main floor became the main gallery, and then there was a little side room that was, for a while, the East Gallery. It is now my parlor.
Oh.
I have taken it.
Nice.
But partly we always had, I don't know, a mission statement kind of thing. Like, we wanted to feature fine craft as well as fine art and give a lot of regional, local artists a chance to show.
Yeah.
And opportunities to show in group shows and theme shows, and also looked at designing the gallery, the pieces or the artwork that was in the gallery, they should have relationships to each other.
Oh.
You know, some galleries really specialize in brightly colored, you know, kind of funky, wild, cool things.
Yeah.
Well, all this stoneware that's got muted, beautiful, rich, muted colors don't look that good with fluorescent pink.
Right.
You know, it just is like they're two different worlds, and we're building a world.
Yes.
That you become immersed in when you're in the gallery and you look around and things relate to each other. And we were really interested in fair trade because of the aesthetic as well as the ethic of it.
Yes. And what does fair trade mean?
Fair trade is instead of so you get things from native artists in their countries and often craftspeople, and they're often making things that are traditional or variations on traditional crafts.
Yeah.
And fair trade is set up so that instead of some big company paying them a penny and then charging you, the client, $100, more of the money is going to the people who make them so they can stay in their homes, they can get health care, that they're supporting their fabulous things that they make.
Absolutely.
They're getting paid a fair wage for. And it's sort of a tricky business to do that because there's imports, and some people will say, well, you should have American art. And we're like, well, we do, but we're part of this global community, and we're not trying to compete with American artists. We're trying to find things that maybe these women who do this beautiful sewing on this India cloth that they've block printed in their houses, nobody in our area is doing that exact same thing. So we're trying to find a balance.
Absolutely.
Of all of these things and keeping aware of the greater world. And as we progressed and had the gallery for more years, we've really focused more and more on fine craft and especially ceramics.
Yeah.
And paper and collage. And we've got Artist of the Month Club, which you were an artist and a primary, one of the earlies. So we're really enjoying that because it shows a body of work of one artist and their vision. And, you know, some people have made things specifically for that, and other people have shown a variety of what they do. And then we can have lots of openings, except when we can't, but even virtual ones, to show what people are doing, what they're making, and how they're making it, and why they're making it, and what they're thinking about. So loving to collect the artist statements and the quotes and the pictures of people in their studios. So and so we've made that shift to kind of a narrower vision of having an Artist of the Month rather than a lot of group shows and things, which were fun, exhausting, and I don't know. Change is good. I like change.
Yeah, I know. Same.
So something new gets me excited about working on it.
For sure. I have to also, within this talking space about this beautiful little place that you guys have developed, is also the incredible outside that you have created.
The sculpture garden.
Yes.
My home, which is actually in an accredited habitat.
Is it really?
It is. We have all the stuff you need to be a real habitat. So, there's all there was if you walk through the garden, you come in the front, and there's the birches, which were the only plants that were there when we got the house, other than grass.
Birch trees.
Big birch trees.
Okay.
And and then we have a lot of native plants in the front, and there's so there's garden rooms, and you go through, and there's sort of different color schemes and types of plants. So all my plant collections, there's so many different kinds of plants, but we have a lot of birds.
It's just so amazing. I mean, it is bountiful. If you're driving down the street, suddenly you see this, like, everything looks sort of the same, interesting, nice little places, and it's beautiful little area. But then you just see this, like, bountiful, like, sculptures outside and all these different greeneries and plants that you're just captivated by. I mean, it's from sidewalk to the back of the house it goes.
But it amazes me, even as a botanist and even as doing the garden every year, is that it pretty much, other than the bones of the garden, the trees and the shrubs, everything else goes down to the ground this time of year. Yeah. And by August, it's 8 feet tall with sunflowers and wild prairie plants and all this stuff. It's like, how can it change this much in a year? Every year it amazes me. So,
yeah.
So, and it's fun to have people wander through and like my granddaughter and other children do love it, especially when they're on the path and they're surrounded by flowers and butterflies and all of these creatures that are in there. So,
oh my gosh, totally.
It's my habitat too, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
you're like the creator of this, like, bountiful, dense, incredible biome. Is that what you said? It's your own biome?
Well, it's smaller. It's smaller than a biome, but that's a good word. I do like that.
Oh.
And we do a lot of, after reading tons about gardening, American gardening has a style that is a little more controlled.
Yeah.
Whereas English and some forms of Japanese gardening, not all, some of them are extremely controlled.
Yeah.
Are like, put these two together and see what happens, and let that vine climb up that tree, and let them interact. And it was called the accidental garden, where the plants find each other and support each other and mix together in the most amazing ways.
Oh, cool.
I love that because you can go out and discover that. And we've had a little fox that keeps coming in and popping through it stands on the little bridge in the middle and looks around.
Oh, my
And I suppose because there's so many plants, maybe it doesn't know it's in the city.
Right.
I just don't want it to go out into the road.
No,
That would be bad.
Right.
So,
But I love that you have this tiny little fox that's visiting, though. That's amazing. I mean, it does feel really magical when you're out there. You do absolutely feel transported. You don't feel like you're in the city. And, I mean, you have frogs in a little pond and lily pads and fish, I think, too.
yeah, there's fish and lots of tree frog. Well, and it's a city lot, so I think it's only 60 feet wide and about 100 feet long.
Yeah.
So it's little.
Yeah.
But we crammed so much stuff into it that you can kind of get hidden from either end of it. When you're in the middle, you're in the middle.
Right.
And that's a good thing. So, yeah, a lot of critters find us. Sometimes I have to research, like, how did they even find us? Right. How can there be that many frogs? They're all in there. And then Ferdinand is the possum. And he comes through and he very politely just scoops out what's under the bird feeders.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
Sometimes he'll go nose to nose with my cat, just with the glass in between them. But it's fun to see the little creatures.
I think just watching nature, it is a creative act. You can't help but witness creation in every moment.
Your blood pressure goes down, your heart rate slows, your breathing, it physically changes you.
Yeah.
In a very good way. So, but yeah, the garden has been, for both of us, it's been a big part of life, going out there every day and wandering about the village. And the village, Elkhart Lake, you have to go pick up your mail at the post office. They don't deliver it to your house, which is a very good thing because you have to get up and walk down the street and open the mailbox and chat with the postmistress and anyone else who happens to be out there.
Yeah.
So it has that, and then you have to go through the garden. And there are some people, there's a lot of people that come after church and they walk through the garden, and people come and sit in the back. And so we've met people that way and made friends. And
wow.
We get pictures from people who take a picture of, like, I've got these gabion boxes now with rocks and driftwood in them on the fence.
What are gabion boxes?
Our metal mesh. I think it's Irish originally, metal mesh, and then they would fill it with rocks and things, and it would either be a end post for a fence or a place to tell you where to turn.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I've just got nice beach stones in them and driftwood and things. And
beautiful.
They are. They have a presence of taking the stones that are underneath us, because we're in the Kettle Moraine. The garden was rock. You'd try to dig and it'd just be ka-ding.
Oh.
Because you'd hit rocks. So we just keep mulching so we have a nice thick soil now.
Yeah.
But so the rocks underneath you can't see, but we've got some up high in boxes, and the birds love them.
Oh, I love that.
They love landing on them.
Oh my gosh,
they
that's
decorate them with birds. So nice. They're so helpful
great.
That way.
Yeah. I think gardening is just such a, I don't know. I think it is such a creative act of like touching the ground that we source everything from, that we're connected to, even as unconnected as we are.
Mm-hmm. Just the way it smells, the way the earth smells. And I was out yesterday because my thyme hasn't frozen. I was making chicken.
Thyme isn't THYME. I was wondering.
Yes. Well, that too.
Yeah.
But and the thyme was still fine, and it was being able to eat something that you grew. We have a lot of fun with that, and that was one of the most fun things at school and with kids too. Is you plant the seed, you grow the plant, you take care of it, but it's pretty tough. They know their plants are smart. And then you can cook with what you've grown, and you make all those connections and look at how beautiful they are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the best. It's the best thing. Grow plants. And I have a greenhouse now.
Oh, really?
I feel like such a rich person. Yes, in my greenhouse over here. And it's out my kitchen window, so I can open the kitchen window, and you can smell the greenhouse smell, all the plants and the earth, and and the humidity.
My gosh.
So I'm experimenting with a lot of different kinds of bamboo right now.
Oh, cool.
And it's fun to print with the leaves, and it's, the aquaprinting process of having a greenhouse, always fresh leaves I can work with, and it flows from what you're eating at the table to what you're looking at to the art you're making. It's really fun to have all those. Pat and I sometimes say, "Yeah, we could live here." Oh, wait, we do. Studios here, our work is here.
But it supports the dreams and the wishes. Maybe not. Maybe those aren't the right things for you because they're not active verbs, right?
Yeah.
So like they support the expressions, or I don't know. I shouldn't even say.
Yeah.
But
all the making, and the making connects you to other people that you've learned, and cooking, especially cooking, connects you to family.
Yeah.
Pat's mom was an artist, so he connects with family when he's making, it all. And it's kind of fun now because youngins will call us up and say, I just was wondering how you made that, and what, I want to do this, and how do I find that, or how do I source different materials? And it's fun to say, I can finally, someone who wants me to blab on endlessly about the chemistry of clay.
Totally.
Yahoo!
Right. Yeah.
So it's fun to be able to find that in the garden too, because people will walk through, and when they slow down, and then they kind of peer over their shoulder if I'm working somewhere else, like, do we bother her? And I'm like, yeah, come on, bother me.
Right.
And what kind of plant is this? How does this grow? And here, take these seeds, or encourage people to make art because it's so good for our lives and our world. And I encourage people to grow plants because it's even bigger. Like, fix the earth. If you start to care about the plants around you, other than whether the grass needs to be cut, which isn't a terrible thing, but it's not as intensely strengthening as planting a tree or planting a tomato plant or doing all these things that you nurture and protect. And it's good for us.
Yeah, that you nurture and protect. And that's what you do for friends. You do it for the earth. You do it for your friends. You do it for yourself.
Yeah, it's not like a suffering. So many people will also say, oh, my God, this must be a lot of work. And I always kind of go, not once. It's a ton of work to get it started. Yeah. But if you work with native plants and perennials, they know what they're doing. give them a chance and they'll grow, And if something really does poorly, it probably isn't in the right habitat. Probably isn't where it needs to be to do well. So send it off to someone else and find the plants that this is the right place for them.
Yeah.
And
I think love that.
You can apply that to students and classes and, find the right, stop jamming the square peg in the round hole and find the square hole, please.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. I so am glad that you shared that. And, your role model then for people. I know that's kind of an icky word. I see your
sorry.
Your
I'm terrified by that.
Furrowed brow. But you model behavior that's in action and like beauty that then people can go, oh, that's cool and it's accessible. Like I can maybe do that with one little plant and starting small and try things out and experiment and explore. And that's what you did. And that's how you're saying it's okay for me. Sometimes I think it's just like someone saying, yeah, you can, and it's okay. Like that.
It is funny because having a gallery, people assume that, well, then everything here is like really good and everything you do is right because you have this. And I'm like, no, it's really just my house. But yeah. And, a lot of the art we've made this year in the garden is made out of like wire. So it's not expensive and people can just go for it.
Right.
So that is fun to have people take pictures of the Gabion boxes or the tea house and go, would you mind if I made one of these? Oh, yeah. Oh, almost swore.
Do it.
Woo. Yes.
Yeah, do it.
Do
yes.
it.
Yeah. You can swear.
Makes me really happy if you want to make something, if you were inspired to make something or grow something or do something good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah. And I love that, you nurture that for yourself, with your partner, with your family, with the people who come to your space. And you did that with your students and continue to do that with your students. So you get to work with Tad, and that's so awesome, and continue this. I mean, that it's this, surprise me, let's explore together way and reflect on it and do it. I just love that.
It's very fun. It's a good lifestyle. Just do stuff. Do a lot of stuff.
Do stuff. Do a lot of stuff.
It's so mushy. Do a lot of stuff. Make a lot of stuff. Keep going. So
I love it.
But
if people wanted to get a hold of you, how can they reach you or find you?
Oh, I'm in Elkhart Lake at Two Fish Gallery. And our website is twofishgallery.net. And I don't know. I guess that's, I do put some artwork on Facebook and Instagram sometimes, mostly, kind of.
Under Karen Robison? Or
Karen Robison, also Two Fish Gallery.
Well, thank you so much, Karen, for being here.
Good to see you.
It was great seeing you, too. Thank you so much for sharing everything you did with us.
Good deal. Now I'm at the library. I can get more books.
Yay.
In the Act is produced in the studios at Mead Public Library in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. More information on the web at meadpl.org.